It's Shane Hewitt and the Night Shift on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
New technology is always fun. It's expensive, though. That's why we let Kris spend the money so we don't have to. Kris Abel is here saying hello with all things tech. Hey, Kris, thanks for popping in.
Yeah. Hi, Shane. Good to be here.
There's a couple of really great stories here. I want to start talking about the skeleton first, if that's okay. I was in Costco. They've already got Halloween costumes that are out. You know, it seems early, but this is what happens, I guess, when our world of consumerism, where we gobble things up. Walking through my old neighborhood, there's lots of houses that have the built-in LEDs, so they change the colors for Halloween, for Christmas, and all the things. I think that's particularly pretty. There was one house that had a giant skeleton, and it was the skeleton that we're going to talk about, but Home Depot has really stepped up their technology in this, and it's almost like they stumbled upon it, and it was wildly successful, and then they're like, hey, this is a thing. We can own this. What's happening?
Totally. I mean, it took everybody by surprise in the last 2 to 3 years. Who would have thought a 12-foot tall giant skeleton, and it's not cheap, you're talking about $400, has taken off and has become viral every year. And so the problem is that a lot of people want one. By the time, if you wait until September, you're not going to be able to get one. So I felt it really, really would be helpful for me to say, hey, now's the time to pay attention. Home Depot's unveiled their new lineup. It's going to start selling, I think, in about a week or so. Now's the time to look into it. And so if you already have a 12-foot giant skeleton, this year Home Depot's decided, hey, this is so popular, we're going to give it a name. It's now called Scully, and you can get an accessory pack for Scully, which includes a wig with long, dark black braids, a heart pendant, spiderweb earrings, a crossbody bag, and my favorite, a pair of Mary Jane style shoes. So now you've got a choice. You can either have a very frightening 12-foot skeleton on your front lawn, or you can dress it up like it's going out for a night in the town to go check out all the Halloween parties.
Yeah, they've really started to play with this by having sort of this dress up. It's almost like having these gigantic dolls. And I'm not familiar with them, but there's the movie with the guy with the white head. Like they've really started to play with what this looks like, and they've taken it to a next level. I'm not one for Halloween decorations, but I got to tell you, this is what could get me into it.
And it speaks to who it's been popular with, who's been driving this phenomenon. And I've noticed it as happening as well on YouTube, is that it's been women. Predominantly those who come in and are willing to spend hundreds of dollars on getting a 12-foot giant skeleton have often been women. I've seen them sing songs on YouTube, adapt the skeletons to make them wearable. So now it's an 8-foot skeleton. You can walk around in them. It's pretty amazing. Home Depot is also going to unveil a 7-foot pet dog skeleton that you can get to go with Scully. But if you're looking for something more scary, they're going to unveil a wolf, the Fear Valley wolf. And this uses high tech in that it has patches of the fur that are missing. You can see the bones sticking out. What they've done is they've made it so that it has sensors and can detect when a passerby comes by. So it's nice and quiet. Somebody comes by, it then leaps and pounces. And they took video footage of actual dogs snarling and biting, and have done a lot of effort to make sure that the lips curl back, the teeth are bared, to try to match how frightening it is if you actually have a real dog coming after you. Well, this is going to be a fake wolf coming after those who might be coming by just to get some candy.
For those who haven't seen them, Kris, the tech that's in them is not overwhelming. I mean, there's some minor movements and the LED lights for eyeballs. Is there anything else that's in the new stuff that's changed for it?
They are getting better in terms of having sensors to know when somebody's nearby, being able to have eyes that change and can follow you is something that there's a kit for the giant 12-foot skeleton that does that. That's kind of amazing. That's what I'm seeing. And then incorporating every other kind of technology. So Lowe's right now is having a popular time with a kraken that they've unveiled. So you've got a head in the middle of your yard, and then all around the peripheral of your property, you can have these large inflatable tentacles. It looks really cool.
It's the subtlety that I think that really gets this one, to be honest, because you don't like, you see it and then you kind of see you're walking by and there's nothing going on. Then the eyes sort of flicker on and you're like, oh God, it's watching me. I mean, to me, I think it's a great example of how subtlety wins, frankly.
Yes.
I love it.
Always expect the unexpected is good.
You were talking about dogs, and there's a beach dog that's a vacuum for your cigarette butts.
Right. The Italian Institute of Technology has unveiled their version of a dog. Boston Dynamics has had their robot dog called Spot, which a lot of people find very frightening. So I'm happy to say this one, very similar in that you've got this very slim body with spindly little legs, not really much of a head on it, is actually doing some good. And so it is armed with a pair of cameras. And as it roams, it gets let loose autonomously to go out and find beaches, parkettes, playgrounds, and then it scans the ground with a pair of cameras and artificial intelligence, and it's looking for garbage, it's looking for litter. In particular, they programmed it to look for cigarette butts. The Italian Institute of Technology says that about 4.5 trillion cigarette butts are released into the environment every year. And so this dog, when it scans the ground and it notices that there's a cigarette butt or a piece of garbage there, it then positions its paw next to that piece of garbage, and there's a little nozzle next to its paw that is powered by a vacuum backpack, and immediately sucks up all the pieces of litter and detritus, and then once it's full, can go back home, empty its backpack, and then report back to the playground or to the beach, and hopefully help clean things up.
I like this. This is there's a couple of great memes that have been flying around saying, I want my AI to do the jobs that I don't want to do, so I have time to make art and music, as opposed to I want my AI to make art and music, so I have to do the jobs that I don't want to do. And this is a great example of that, Kris.
It is. The one downside is that the vacuums are so loud that this is something that you'd only have to release the hounds during the day. You wouldn't be able to do it at night, which is when most cleanup crews are active. But again, I love the idea that you have a dog, which, you know, a lot of people, when you see this, I think it's going to be a very friendly encounter for people to have. But to see them roaming around, cleaning up afterward, keeping things nice and neat and clean, yeah, that's a wonderful experience.
Imagine with me that, you know, it's nighttime, you go outside to grab something from your car, you forgot it. And across the street, there's an army of, you know, I don't know, a dozen robot dogs crawling around in the dark, sucking up garbage from the park across the street. I mean, it's a little bit apocalyptic when you think of it that way.
Totally. Or what a wonderful way for a city to clean up after a very raucous night where, you know, a hockey team has won, or there's been a parade, or there's been a political rally, to then release all these little hounds roaming around afterwards, cleaning up after the event. I think that's pretty cool.
The Deadpool Wolverine movie, the latest one, is great. We only have about a minute here, Kris, but let's talk about Ryan Reynolds' butt and how great it feels.
I know, this is crazy. So they have unveiled an Xbox controller. It's the same as any other controller. It's got a Deadpool style coloring and uniform to it, but molded on the back is a pair of buttocks to simulate Ryan Reynolds behind as the character Deadpool. They unveiled this online. You can't buy it in stores. You have to win it through a contest. But it's just crazy that this is an actual thing, that you can play video games and hold in your hands Deadpool's behind while you're playing. I don't know who's going to go for this, but yeah,
I think it's
definitely
fantastic. I think you'll have guys, gals, you'll have everybody grabbing it, just to say that they're holding on to Ryan Reynolds' butt. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. And then they unveiled a yellow version for Wolverine to put it on a billboard in Cold Lake, Alberta, which is the fictional home birthplace of Wolverine. And so you can also get Hugh Jackman's behind molded into the back of a controller too.
If you had to choose between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, which one do you choose, Kris?
I don't know even where to think about that one. I guess Deadpool would be the fun one. Yeah.
Definitely be the fun one. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's tough to decide. The good news, it's not a contract. You're not stuck with it for life. Kris Abel, thanks for popping in.
Thank you.